How you doing tonight?
Okay, 2 days. Okay tonight?
Nope.
Switching.
Volleyball's over for
Fuel stops. Oh, really? 20 hours.
Last year took 22, the year before.
He's a goalie?
Yeah.
You mentioned he had
Atlanta, Nashville.
oh, number of saves, whatever. They play this weekend?
Yeah, they played Saturday.
KPW? Yeah. Atlanta's hard to get through.
Solid Waste Workshop Meeting, Monday, October 21st, 2024, 6 PM. Bear?
Here.
Briggs?
Here.
Coulter?
Here.
Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Here.
Patke?
Here.
Reed?
Here.
Wessels?
Here.
Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the committee members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the meeting dated October 7, 2024? Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Coulter to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that's approved.
Solid waste discussion?
Charles gets up here and gets ready to go through this presentation that we provided with you in your packet. We just wanted to make sure, tonight, we just wanted to go ahead and pass along the information. Solid Waste Committee's been working on this for probably got it in here, presentation somewhere, but
Since
it's
the
been a while.
spring, summer,
Since
yeah.
the spring, summer, or whatever. So it's been about 6 months, and we just wanted to, tonight, kind of give you an update on where we're at. And I'll let Charles go ahead and take it away.
So, good evening, council. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, just stop me and ask them. So, jump into it. Just going to go over some background. So, our current contract for waste collection, Waste Connections has our contract. It's from 2020 to 2025, so a 5-year contract. Currently, residents are being charged $15.85 and $13.95 for seniors. So that's what the city pays Waste Connections for collection. The citizens actually pay $14.15 and $8.50 for seniors. So the landfill subsidizes the difference in that cost between what we pay Waste Connections and what they pay to the city, and that comes out to about $220,000 per year that we subsidize the rates. So that contract has a locked-in rate, so those $15.85, $13.95 is locked in for 5 years. The collection is twice per month for recycling pickup in provided 64-gallon toters. Waste can be placed in cans, toters, just bags on the curb, and they'll pick it up, similar to what we had when the city picked up trash. You get 2 bulk items per resident for the last pickup of each month. And then that contract includes 5,000 ton allowance for the hauler to dump waste at the city landfill for free. So that's kind of an incentive to get the, help get the rates down for that. That's our current contract. So like Darren was saying, the Solid Waste Committee started meeting, back in April, May of this year, looking ahead to our new contract that would be up here at the end of May of 2025. And the goal was to get a RFP, request for proposals out in August. That way we'd be able to get the bids in, look at them, get the hauler enough time to look at everything, and get the new hauler in here and transition, get trucks, that sort of thing. So we went ahead with that, and then we also included some information in our RFP about the transfer station. So I'll go into some background on the transfer station as well. So currently, the city's plan for a transfer station was to build it ourselves. We're aiming for about 2027. We'd look at building a transfer station out at the landfill. So the city owns about 10 acres just south of the landfill currently. That would be the site for the transfer station. We had estimated that it'd cost us about $3.2 million to build a 2-bay transfer station out there. And yeah, we bought that 10 acres out there in 2019, so we've had that for a little while now. And the projected closure of the landfill is 2030, which is also when the lease is up with the struck off, September of 2030, so. Map show you, so that 10 acres down there with the call out, the red call out there is the 10 acres for the transfer station and the landfill to the north of it. So when we got this process started, the solid waste committee started meeting. We met with the five major haulers in the area, just gathering some information on what a new contract for waste hauling would include, as well as what the interest level is for a transfer station. If anyone would want to help operate it, help us build it, design it, and what was that interest level. So what we learned is that contract that we have currently, that's a static, 5-year locked-in price. That's not how things are done anymore. No one would bid on that. You'd have to have a CPI or some percent increase over the years, year after year. So typically see from 3 to 5%, they said. Transition away from picking up bags, things at the curb, and transferring over to all provided toters that the hauler would be able to pick up with their trucks without having to get out of the trucks. Helps with efficiency, cut down on worker comp claims, that sort of thing. And then there was quite a bit of interest in anywhere from just operating the transfer station, helping us design, build it, all those sort of things. And it seemed like there was a lot of interest. If they did something like that, they would also want to tie that to the waste collection contract and do that over a longer period of time, anywhere from 20 to 25 years, to kind of get the return back on their investment there. So then we went out for requests for proposals at the end of August. We put together proposals for a base bid, which included a very similar to what we have now, 5-year waste collection contract, except they would be able to set their price over those 5 years. So if they were to increase that price over the years, it would also be with provided toters for both recycling and trash. There'd be, we set it up where they would provide us a cost for the same level of recycling we have now, so twice a month recycling, but also an option for once a week if we wanted to increase the frequency of our recycling pickup. And then residents would have the option of getting a 65 or a 96 gallon trash or recycling bin. So right now they were just provided a 64 for recycling. That helps. So like I said, it was set up with the base bid there for waste collection, but it also had alternate bids. So alternate A was essentially the same waste collection as what I described there, but it would also include design, build, and operation of a transfer station, 2-bay minimum transfer station out there. And that would be a 25-year contract. So that'd be 25 years for waste collection and for operating the transfer station. So long contract there. And then alternate B was basically send us a proposal, any kind of open proposal on running the transfer station and waste collection or somewhere in between there. So that's what we sent out. And then we got back bids from 3 different contractors. So these are the results for just the base bid for waste collection. So 5-year contract. We had Waste Connections, Meridian, and Grace Hauling provide proposals for us. So you can see the different breakdowns year after year. And then over on the right side, you can see the yearly cost either for the twice a month recycling or the once a month. So highlights there, just looking at it, looks like if you were to stay with the twice a month recycling. Waste Connections would be low bid, then Grace Hauling, then Meridian. But if you add in the weekly recycling, changes a little bit there. So you can see the percent increases year after year as well. And then this slide just kind of compares what we have versus what we have, what those bids were to what we have currently. So that 1585 and that 1395 per year kind of cost. So 1585, the next low was 1695. So you got a little over $1 increase in the residential seniors, about the same there. And then you can see the other ones, how they kind of compare as well. And then this is alternate A. So we only had one proposal submitted for alternate A, which was the 25-year waste hauling and transfer station option. So here's the prices for that. So $19.15 for the first year, with seniors at $16.85. So a little bit more, but you also get a royalty back for the transfer station. So you get $2 for the first 100 tons. So that's $2 per ton for the first 100 tons, and then it's $2.50 for 100 to 300, and then over 300, you get $3 per ton. So you'd get back a royalty. They said a minimum of $50,000 per year in royalty. So currently at our landfill, we get just under, we get about 80 tons per day at the landfill. So you would be, it's hard to bring in a lot of waste starting out, but they would want to build up to bringing in 2, 3, more, hundreds of tons, if not more, over the years. And that's really how they kind of make their money there, so.
If I could, one of the things we learned, I think, during the discussions with some of the waste haulers was that in order to go ahead and make, for them to make it profitable for them, is that, as Charles said, you're currently taking in about 80 tons a day. What we had before we raised the rates was 100 tons per day. And basically all the haulers told us, and only way to make it profitable for them was 300 to 500 tons a day. So that's a substantial increase in the volume of what's going on out there. So I just wanted to let you know, that's why we're operating at our level. But then again, if you wanted to go ahead and have somebody else consider looking at operating it for you in the future, that's the kind of level that they're gonna be shooting for in that. So keep that in mind.
And then alternate B, so we got a proposal for that, and this proposal was by Meridian as well, and basically it's if you separate them. So if they didn't get the waste collection contract, this is what they would set up. They would design, build, operate the transfer station for 25 years, and these rates that they provided is what they would charge the city to bring the waste to the transfer station. So it'd be a discount of what they charge other people. You'd still get the royalties, same as the last time there, but we would have to require that whoever did collect our waste take it to the transfer station at, charging them these costs, so.
On that last one, Charles, so if, suppose one of the other haulers got the, the trash bid, and you had the one was $16.95, okay? So what they're saying on that one is, of that $16.95, $4.94 would go to them for the transfer station? Or how does that, how would that work?
You'd have to pay for the $16.95 to
Plus
that
the
hauler,
40?
and then you'd have to give them the $4.94
Yeah.
separately. So it'd be in addition to whatever you're paying the hauler.
And that's for every resident, every month?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but things to consider, you're getting someone to design and build and operate your transfer station for 25 years. It'd be at a lease, and then you'd get that back after 25 years. You'd get the building, the land, you never lose the land, but you get the building back, and you could go out and have someone else operate after that, or however you want to do, renew the contract, that sort of thing. So there's definitely some value, obviously, in building and operating a transfer station out there.
So the idea of a transfer station was still upheld well by the waste haulers? I mean, Meridian's the only one that did it. Something we talked about way before this conversation, years and years ago, that we were gonna set money aside for that. And I guess it's equitable to still do that.
It's possible. I think for tonight's purposes, I think we wanted to get you at least what the base bids were for collection. I think you got a longer-term discussion with regards to operations of the transfer station and how long you want the existing landfill to stay open as well. So we're not trying to decide that in the short run necessarily, maybe, if we consider the alternate bid, but the main thing is to consider, here's what your base bids would be as we move forward.
And then this is just a smaller breakdown for the first year's alternate A, as well as the base bids, and just kind of throwing that in there so you can see that 1915 for operating the transfer station the first year, and how that compares to some of the other bids on just the 5-year contract there, so.
And how is that Grace hauling apartment dumpsters in relation? Is that per
Yeah,
year instead of per
so
month?
everyone kind of bid on the dumpsters a little bit differently. So you can see waste collections is included, so there's no additional cost for the apartment. So we have about 108 apartment dumpsters that are collected as well. All the residents are charged the same residential rate that everyone else is that lives in those apartments. But some people separated that cost, so we had it broke down. So Grace Haulings, that a little over 12,000 is, that's for all the dumpsters per month. So you'd have to add that in to the monthly cost. And then the Meridians, they did theirs per dumpster per month. So 140 times the 108 dumpsters per month, so. Like
How many total dumpsters?
108.
There you go.
So if I go back, a better way to compare it might be on the right side. If you go with those yearly costs for the twice a month recycling, once a month recycling, if you compare those numbers, that already has the apartments and everything included in it and broke out.
Whether it's included or whether it has a one-time number, it's all included in that twice a month?
In that yearly cost, so
Okay,
yeah.
all right, that's what I thought.
Might be a better way of looking at
Right.
how those compare.
Yeah.
Once again, I got a question to clarify that, which chart? The next, I think it's the next one. Where you had the apartment dumpsters on there for 12,000?
Can you go
Chart,
Yeah, I'll
another
go
one.
forward? There you go.
Okay, on that one then, so with Waste Connections, they don't charge specifically for the dumpsters, but the residents of the apartments each pay that rate that we see here, the 16?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so when we go up to Grace, they charge for the dumpsters, but do the residents also pay that rate up there, the
So
12?
we'd have to figure that out. So currently, right, the hauler charges the city. The city pays one monthly bill. But then we charge the residents a set price. So, I mean, you'd have to factor that in when you set your new rates for the residents. So you'd distribute that 12,000 per month.
12,000, or if
evenly
you took
over
the other bids,
residents
you're looking
and
at
kinda factor that
14,000
out.
more per month. And you'd have to consider that if you wanted to in your rates at a later date.
And divvy that up
You
amongst
could
everybody.
You could, yes, that's one way you could do
Yeah.
it.
So then here's a comparison to other cities in the area. So you can see Union's at $17.25. Their senior rate's only $1 cheaper at $16.25. Waste Connections does theirs. Their frequency for recycling is a little bit more. They have weekly, pretty much same bulk pickup as ours. St. Clair's 19. They don't have a senior discount. Pacific's 21. Sullivan and Gerald are $14.75, but they don't have any recycling, so that affects that tremendously. New Haven's 29 with Republic, and Warrenton's 18. 19. So if you compare our, this is the apparent low bid that we have here. It's $16.95 and $13.95 for seniors. Definitely seems like we're the lower bids in the area, especially with recycling.
One of the things that we looked at, that the committee looked at was, I guess, and I think that some of you have maybe seen it, we've had a lot more interest in recycling since we started this 5 years ago. Those recycling containers get full pretty quick. And especially if we're doing twice a month pickup, you've got sometimes where it falls in, you may have 3 weeks in between pickup. But one of the things that we talked about is if you have a 96 gallon container, that'll help take on that extra recycling that some of the households are doing. And then that way you could go ahead and keep it to a twice a month pickup. So that was all taken into consideration.
They're gonna offer us that, a larger recycling container?
Yes.
Yes. As part of this, they'd have an
You could-
option to do 64 or a 96.
For trash and or recycling.
Customer can choose.
And Meridian and Grace both, about the bulk items. Are they in on that as well?
Yes, that was all set up the same for all those.
I mean, the big trash.
It would
once
be
a
the
month?
same, 2 items at the end of the month per resident, yes.
Do the other cities subsidize their citizens?
No, we are the
not to
only
our
ones.
knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's what I was just gonna say, it's intriguing that we're the lowest, but if you would take out that $220,000 a year that we subsidize because we have a landfill, our numbers are definitely gonna be higher, or, because to me, it's intriguing, like you said, Sullivan and Gerald with no recycling, they're cheaper, but not when you add that on, if it did have it. So, well, and because we have a landfill, our residents are getting a pretty good deal right now.
The other ones that are a little higher are on, they're getting more frequent pickup on their recycling too, so.
Right.
Union's getting weekly. St. Clair and Pacific are every other week, not just twice a month, so there's a little bit, they're getting a little bit out of that extra charge too.
Right. So Darren, you alluded to that larger container as opposed to a weekly recycling pickup. Because the last time we dealt with this 5 years ago, it was like, it just didn't make sense to have it every week because the number was
Right.
substantially higher. I'm trying to do the math, but I wasn't quick enough in the last slide, but
That's why we feel, there's a way that you could still serve the interests of the residents, those that are recycling, you got that much more space for recycling. So,
I mean, at my house, that's what we do. Every other week, it goes out. It's the Tuesday after the council meeting, the trash goes out, or the recycling goes out. But on that third week, then we end up with boxes piled up because it ends up being full. But that's just something to deal with.
And you're seeing anywhere from $2 to $5 just to make it from twice a month to weekly
Okay,
recycling.
right.
So a couple base questions. Senior rate comes in at what age?
62.
we're not there yet.
I wasn't gonna say anything because some members up here,
I know they are.
and how do we,
Be careful.
do we just rely on the customer to say, hey, I am? How do we,
Yeah, they have to come in and show their ID and all that sort of stuff and get switched
and
over.
then you were talking about, along the same lines as the recycling, would, I guess, with the waste connections anyway, would be a choice between the two size containers and they provide those?
Yeah, for any of these haulers, that would be.
All of them would
Yeah,
provide
that's-
either size? But that was part of our requirement?
Yes, that was part of
Okay.
the RFP.
So what do we looking to narrow down exactly
Well,
what we want?
let's go to,
and then-
go to the last slide here, and then we'll,
Oh, conclusion, good.
yeah, there you go. Just give us time.
So, Solid Waste Committee will meet again. We'll provide a recommendation sometime at one of the council meetings in November. The bids are good for 90 days, so we got a little time, and we'll provide a recommendation after we look at all these bids again and kind of analyze a few things. And then once we're kind of given direction by you all from council, we'll work on getting a contract together for approval. And then Solid Waste Committee will provide recommendations on how to fund that. So do we, stay with the same rates we're charging citizens now, or we need to increase those? How much? What does that need to look like? So it's kind of
And does the possibility of the landfill lasting longer than 2030 come into play with this at all?
That's another discussion, yes. I mean, the short answer to your question, yes, you would have to negotiate a new lease with Struckoffs if you wanted to go beyond 2030.
We have any more cells?
And airspace-wise, we're, you know, on our current cell, we're filling up. We're projected to reach closer in 2030 anyways. There was talk that, you know, DNR wasn't gonna let us open up another one, but I think that's something we could negotiate if we need to and we feel like we wanna open another cell. I think for a long time it was, we bought the 10 acres, we're gonna move towards a transfer station, but I think, you know, if we're open, anything's on the table.
The other thing to keep in mind is your liability of what you have for post-closure. And that's something that I want to make sure that that's in the back of your mind. We will have a number for you at a later date. We're working on that. But that's something to really consider especially when it comes to subsidizing the rates. I strongly advise you not do that because of the fact that when you see that number and what future councils are going to have to go ahead and include within their budget, just because we kept a landfill open and used it for these years. I mean, that's just something you have to think about.
Well, that was kind of my question earlier with the transfer station, because that's what we talked about. I don't know whether that was 5 years or 10 years ago, whatever it was, but at that time, the transfer station made more sense than adding to the landfill and those costs included there. And that's why are we still at that where the transfer station is more cost intuitive to us?
It can be. I think a big reason why that discussion was at that time was that we were having problems maintaining it at the level the DNR wanted based on their
Right.
Inspections. And we certainly didn't, I know at least previous administration was ready to jump to this solid waste, you know, or the transfer station 5 years ago. And we looked at it and said, well, wait a second, we think we can provide a better maintenance schedule on this, open up a new cell, buys us more time then to certainly go ahead with the rates to get some of that, to build up some of those reserves so you have that money available for when you need to build the transfer station, you can.
Plus the closure of the landfill is gonna be a big number too.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
because isn't that what you were luring to, the closure
Yeah.
cost? Because 10 years ago was $1 million.
Oh, it's,
Significantly more.
10 years ago, though, I'm
Right,
saying.
yeah, it's only
It was that number.
increasing every year, right?
You're right.
So.
Joe, we had, one of the contractors actually wondered why we didn't want to open another cell. And was talking about that and thought that would be wise for us. But then another one said that the soil wasn't appropriate for that. So, you know, there's a lot of things still to be weighed and considered.
that's why that's a longer term discussion. We just wanted, the purpose of tonight was to get you see what the committee has been doing for the last 6 months, and especially with these bids, because like Charles said, you've got until the end of the year essentially to go ahead and award one of these contracts to move forward. And then we've got plenty of time, what we felt, in order to go ahead and let the general public know the changes that would be, for example, you know, the size of the toters that they're going to provide, the fact that we're no longer going to be able to pick up and utilize just dropping the bag on the curb or open trash can receptacles that we have been, you know, that we've had for years. That was one of the things that we really wanted to do so it would be seamless 5 years ago so that we could continue that. But, you know, after talking with all of the companies over the last 6 months, that's, nobody's willing to offer that service anymore. They all want to go to automation for obvious reasons.
People were here, I don't know if they have what they're having to them.
I don't know. There are some haulers that are here from Meridian. We have some from Waste Connections. I don't know if any of the other haulers are here, so if you do have any questions of them, they're here. Otherwise, like I said, that's all that we have for tonight. We're not, like I said, we weren't looking for any action item tonight. It was just more of an informational, give you some information on what we've received.
No further questions? Okay.
Thanks, Charles.
We do have some executive session items to go ahead and cover. So if you'd like to, we could do that between now and before this council meeting at 7.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Executive session, public vote on whether or not to hold a closed meeting to discuss personnel, legal, or real estate matters pursuant to section 610.021 RSMO 2000. Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Can't do that.
I still want to adjourn.
And you should have said no.
She said no.
Trying to weigh all those different things in. It really changes.
Well, I'm looking at it like this one. If you got a 5-year contract and you're subsidizing